Hey everybody, my name is Chris. I am from the Heal Mind, Body, and Soul Facebook group. I am a chronic pain sufferer, and today I'd like to talk to you about fibromyalgia. I am an independent researcher and recently have joined a research team, and I have some very, very important information for you. I hope that you can go somewhere in a private room or take this information in. It's not going to be easy to hear or understand, especially for long-time sufferers, or if you're new to this journey. So, um, so yes, please take this in. Understand that for Heal Mind, Body, and Soul, we have one rule. That's just to be authentic and no selling. So I'm not here to try to sell you anything or to just to talk to you from one pain sufferer to another. So with that being said, what is fibro, right? Fibro is a condition, a disease, a painful everyday experience. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2013 after multiple years of suffering. And you can find my story on my page, Chris Lehman, and has a few thousand views on it now. And but I had a long journey of fibro. But today I'm going to discuss with you what fibro actually is for most of us. I'm not saying for everybody, but after my research, I understand now and my own experience. And I truly feel like I was here to pass on this message. So how do you get fibro, right? You're born with it. Some doctors will diagnose it after a traumatic experience, after a surgery, right? After an infection. So let's start with the infection. All right. Recently, I joined a fluoroquinolone antibiotic research team. In 2010, all the way until 2019, I suffered from different things. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, like I said, Lyme I was even diagnosed with. And in 2019, I retook a fluoroquinolone antibiotic, ciprofloxacin, for 18 days, in which finally it was like a bomb blew up in my body. And I am currently in a wheelchair. I suffer with extreme nerve pain and tendon damage, a lot of eye issues, anxiety, and so on. And I understand what you're going through, and I went down that road of trying gabapentin and Lyrica for over 6 years. I was on every type of tryptoline drug and so on. And now, from a scientific view, I understand what's happening. In 1987 was the first time fibromyalgia was diagnosed, reportedly. Not the first time it was officially diagnosed. So doctors were diagnosing it, but not fully understanding it, right? And if you look at fluoroquinolone antibiotics, and this is going to be tough to hear, but fluoroquinolone antibiotics, ciprofloxacin, was on the market in 1987. Other quinolone antibiotics, which was before they added the fluoride to it, were on the market in the mid-80s. So here we are with extensive research and extensive amount of back records to see that fibromyalgia wasn't a thing before fluoroquinolone antibiotics. It's just a fact. So let me go through each of these things. So if you, after a sickness, the first line of treatment, why do so many more women have fibromyalgia? We just always rack it up to, oh, just women just get it, right? Well, no, women are diagnosed with UTIs 10 to 1 compared to men. What's the first line of treatment for UTIs? Is a fluoroquinolone antibiotic. So these fluoroquinolone antibiotics now have 6 pages front and back of side effects. 7 black box warnings that it can cause permanent nerve damage, permanent tendon damage, inability to walk, eye issues, anxiety. The list goes on. Get it from your pharmacy. So I ask all of you to check your records and see if you have taken ciprofloxacin, Lavaquin, Avalex, or any other fluoroquinolone antibiotic. Please please, I'm begging you, because I went down your route of all of this. And now I know, because after retaking the fluoroquinolone, it was like a bomb blew up in my body. And then I started researching and met thousands and thousands of people who already knew what happened to them. And I wish this information would have got out sooner. So, after a sickness and illness, that's one. After a car accident or a surgery, think about this. After a surgery, what do they give you? Antibiotics, right? They give you antibiotics. What antibiotics? Most fluoroquinolones. 3 million new cases of fibromyalgia are diagnosed every year, and 4.5 million prescriptions are written for fluoroquinolone antibiotics a year. This is an epidemic. Now, I'm not saying everybody, again, maybe you haven't, but for most of us, my research is showing almost 80% of people that I've talked to with fibromyalgia who went back and looked at their records show that they've taken a fluoroquinolone antibiotic. And like myself and most of us, many symptoms don't come on right away. They come on months later, years later. And I'm going to get to why that happens in a minute. Traumatic experience. A lot of us are told, like I was told, my mom passed away in 2009. And in 2010 is when I started having issues. Well, I took fluoroquinolone antibiotic about 7 months after my mom passed away. And if you think about your body, yes, stress is a huge, huge thing for your body, right? But your body's not going to not create cells properly. It is not going to have tendon issues and muscle issues and damage. I mean, we are damaged. And again, I'm going to get to how and why in a second. But if I didn't believe it was a traumatic experience, and if you do, I understand it, because trust me, my mom passing away, my dad got cancer just a few months later, and I was left in a long-term relationship. But now I know it's not it, right? So now the tough one. If you were born with it, this is hard because I just had a baby 5 days ago. And I joined a fluoroquinolone toxicity research group from other people who were floxed. That's what we're called, floxies. You can look us up online. There's many Facebook groups with thousands of people who now understand what's happened. My group, Heal Mind, Body, and Soul, has a lot of floxies, but there's also just strictly fluoroquinolone toxicity groups. So 56 people got DNA tested. 56 people who knowingly took fluoroquinolone antibiotics. And in their DNA, adducted was the fluoroquinolone antibiotic. Think about that. 56 of 56 people, their DNA was now mutated. What that means is that leads to mitochondria disease, which, if you know anything about mitochondria, which I'm sure a lot of you do, having mitochondria damage is one of the worst things you can have. It leads to cell death. It leads to decreased collagen for tendon issues, central nervous system damage, peripheral nervous system damage, chronic fatigue, anxiety. So all of these things, because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, if you have eye issues, brain issues, these are from fluoroquinolone antibiotics. There is a reason you have this. There's a reason this is happening to your body. It's not your fault. It's hard to talk about because I'm living it. But if you were born with it, from the research, and we need a lot more research to confirm this, but from the few kids that were tested as well, it showed that they also had the fluoroquinolone inducted into their DNA. So if your mom took a fluoroquinolone antibiotic and then you were born that, or just a quinolone antibiotic, and then you were born, it could have been passed down to you. So again, that's just from the research. I'm, passing it along. if you want to find out more on my journey, again, my name is Chris Lehman. You can join the Heal Mind, Body, and Soul. You can click on my page and watch my journey. I hope that this doesn't hurt you as much as it helps you, but enough of trying to chase our tails and figure out what's happening, and because this is what's happening, and we need you to join the cause to fight against these fluoroquinolones being put on the market. I'm going to be starting, it's not a Facebook group, but just a Facebook acknowledgement of ways that we can fight these fluoroquinolones from being put on the market, and the Fight Against Fluoroquinolone Facebook group. But again, it's not going to be posting and things, stay in your groups. It's just going to be when we have events or research that comes up, we will put it on there for you. And that, again, will be the Fight Against Fluoroquinolones. And I hope this helps. If you have any questions, I will try to get back to you. My hands and my eyes are really bad, but I'll try to get back to you. You can reach out to me. And please understand that this video is just made to try to help and spread the knowledge. So thank you guys so much for listening, and keep healing, all right?